Torah tells us that when Moshe came down from the mountain, he sees the Jews involved in idolatry, the Chet Egel, the golden calf. He smashes the luchos, the tablets. And after he smashes the luchos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says to him, Haluchas Hashesh Shibarto, the tablets which you broke. So the Lord tells us in Shabbos that after he broke the luchos, Ha'evan, which was all created by God, Hashem fashioned the luchos, the tablets, and inscribed the luchos. God says the word Asher, Yashakocho Shishibarto. I give you a tremendous thank you that you broke the luchos, because if you wouldn't have broken the tablets, I would have had to destroy Klal Yisrael. The breaking of the luchos was an annulment of the covenant of the bris between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Otherwise, it would have been considered, God forbid, like a woman committed adultery under the chuppah. So because the marriage was annulled, as it says, Moshe, the Torah uses the term kaloso as a mishkan. The vav is deleted to indicate that it was like a chosn and kalo. It was like a bride and groom, the relationship. As a result of the Chet Egel, the marriage was annulled. Therefore, they were not liable. There was liability, but the liability of destroying Klal Yisrael was not there. But Torah tells us something interesting. When he breaks the luchos, it says he broke the luchos mitachas tachta sohor, at the bottom of the mountain. It says he broke the luchos. All we're interested in that it was annulment. He annulled the covenant, the relationship. And therefore, the degree, the extreme liability which they would have had, they no longer have that level of liability. What does that Torah have to tell us? The exact location where the luchos were broken. We find at the time of Kabbalas HaTorah, Klal Yisrael stood mitachta sohor. They stood at the foot of the mountain. So Rashi cites Chazal, the morning Shabbos, that when it says they stood at the foot of the mountain, either it means the foot of the mountain, and that's where they said Nasa v'Nishma, they accepted the Torah. So at the same location that they accepted the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu, he broke the luchos exactly at that same location. That this is a full annulment, it's a revocation of that original relationship. That there's not a trace of that relationship, and as a result of that, it's up to Hashem to determine what level of liability should be. Therefore, specifically, he chose the location, and the Torah reveals the location to tell us that it's considered a full annulment, and that's why the Jews still have a right to exist. Or Tachtasor means they were under the mountain. So if that's the case, it's not possible to say the mountain didn't lift up again, it wasn't over the Jews. But Tachtis, in terms of minimally of indication of relevance to the location, that's the Tachtis to indicate the full revocation of the relationship. That's what it was. We find that Moshe Rabbeinu was given an opportunity. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will destroy them, and Klal Yisrael will be from you. So Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, if a chair which has 3 legs can't stand, 3 legs meaning the schus of the Avos, Avraham, and Yaakov is not sufficient merit that they should survive this decree. A chair that stands on 1 leg, a maischus, could Klal Yisrael survive? And therefore he supplicated Hashem to annul the decree to destroy them. But it's interesting. We find that Hashem says to Moshe, Lech reid kishiches amcho. There's a degree of culpability to Moshe Rabbeinu over here. Moshe says to Hashem, why is it my people, not your people? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, when you allowed the Erev Rab, the rabble, to leave Egypt, did you console with me? You didn't console with me. They're the ones who instigated it. So it's due to their instigation, that's why this thing happened. So therefore, but we find there is no liability against him. Moshe wasn't punished for this. But factually, Moshe's decision, which was a faulty decision, actually precipitated this. This is why it happened. So now Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, I'll destroy them and you'll be the one. I mean, is there even a consideration? I mean, there's a degree of fault here that Moshe is actually the cause. He contributed to this setting why this happened over here. So for Moshe Rabbeinu, there wasn't even a consideration. But again, that's not what he said. He didn't say because I'm guilty or because there's a degree of liability to myself, and by having them continue, that will shirk my responsibility. But rather he says, I'm not worthy. My worthiness is not sufficient. There's not sufficient schus will protect the future. If the schus of Avos cannot, because that's clear. Moshe Rabbeinu is Odom B'Kol Odom. Therefore, there's not even a consideration that Moshe Rabbeinu has any self-interest. The objective of creation is B'Shvil She'Yisrael She'Nikarashis. It's that there should be a Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is from the Avos HaKadoshim. That's who it's from. As a result of that, he says, if the schus of the Avos HaKadoshim and they're able, my schus, my merit should be sufficient. But again, it wasn't because he had any degree of, he wanted, as I said, to relieve himself of any claim against him, but rather was rooted in his negation to Hashem, total negation, that all that matters is God's interest, which is Kavod Shemayim, and God would want it should be the descendants of the Avos and not his personal descendants.